Hello gamers, Pet here, welcome to Fight of the Primitives devlog number 3. I've done a video like 2 days ago. I worked also 2 days ago. I worked yesterday, I worked today. When I say work, I mean I worked on the game and I actually live streamed today for 5 hours, yesterday for 8 hours. It was a fun experience. I am kind of like at a point where it's a little bit not annoying, but like the progress, while it is a progress and the lessons are hard, I don't feel like, oh look, a checkbox has been completed. It's like I have to do some small redesigning stuff because of how I was thinking about some parts, and it's not really major. I believe that I said in the last video that I want to rethink the AI, and the AI actually is not really that complicated. Me trying to rewrite it or something like that, because even that it took a long time, for example, to create the healer, I wasn't really sure how to do it in the first place, but now I kind of have like a good idea, which is a good trick. Even that is not a trick, let's call it a solution, like a good solution to make the healer. Same thing for the archer. I've learned a lot and I will show you the archer today, and the same thing with the warrior and whatnot. And I also worked on the object pool in order to optimize stuff, and that's where I actually encounter a little bit of a problem, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, like if I'm going to let something like if I forgot to uncheck or something like that. So right now, as you can see, I finally got the archer, which is right there. The object pool is working right now, as you can see. I mean, there is nothing, you won't spot a difference. The main thing is that, as you can see over here, I have an object pool and I have a category like fighter, hero, warrior, archer, and arrow. For now, I'm going to instantiate other things like particles and whatnot. So for example, I have a fighter here. I set it up to instantiate 3, and whenever I summon something, I get it from the object pool. I put it where I have to put it, which is over here, and then I enable it. And the main idea with the object pool, let me actually show you the archer, and then we are going to talk about the object pool. And this is the archer. As you can see, it's looking kind of nice. And I'm also going to I wanted to actually show you the arrows, so let me actually pause and then see what's causing it, and then I will show you the arrows. Back, and I think I found the problem. It's mainly with the arrow instantiate. Where was it? Let's go to the archer, let's go to the shoot arrow, let's go to the arrow instantiate, and here is the name of the unit, which right here it's set up to arrows. It was arrows at one point, but then I renamed it to arrow, so it can't really find it. So let's summon a fighter, let's summon an archer. Pause. Beautiful, beautiful. So let me tell you the story of the archer. The archer is nothing special right now. I wanted to create the AI to make the archer retreat whenever he has in his vicinity, to make him retreat. I will do that, I believe, with behavior designer, with behavior trees. I want to actually learn how to make AI using behavior trees, and that's how I will kind of redesign the whole AI. It's going to give me like a good idea to learn that too, and see how it works. So I won't do that anymore, at least here. So the archer right now, he was in the walking state. I changed some stuff a little bit, nothing major, but I created this super unit called find lowest health enemy, which I'm also using it for the warrior. So the warrior right now doesn't pick like the first target, it's picking the lowest health enemy. And this is actually kind of cool that the arrow is doing that, because I've summoned I summoned healers in the back, and the archer detects that the healers have 15 health, and he's actually shooting over the warriors to try to pick out the healers, and it's actually kind of cool. And this is how it looks, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of want to, you will see with this null check stuff, and there is a problem with the object pooling. So basically it's doing a for each for all those things. It's the same thing with the healer. The healer is finding the lowest health ally. I'm applying the same logic to find the lowest health enemy. I'm doing a for each loop. That sphere cast. It's casting to see all the enemies in the range. Like, look, it's like a nanos. Right, so I'm doing a for each for all those items. The first item that comes is going to be set up as the lowest health enemy, because that's the first one I know of. And then the next one is going to compare with the one that was set before, and so on. And if it's if one heal is coming and is going to do a check, and it is lowest, it's going to set itself up, and then the next one is going to be comparing to that one, and so on. And then I exit, and then I have my my lowest heal enemy, right? So yeah, it was like that. One cat came inside, the other cat now wants to come inside every time I'm starting to record. Anyway, so this is how I'm kind of doing the picking of the shooting, right? But then the archer has kind of like a small thingy, a small addition, which is the instantiation of the arrow, and the arrow has to travel, and the arrow has to deal damage after. Like, for example, the arrow time will take 1 second to complete its journey, so the damage has to be done after 1 second. So the logic of the dealing damage can't be on the actual archer, because if the archer dies, then the archer won't deal the damage that the arrow has to do. So the arrow is kind of like independent. The arrow gets instantiated. He knows its target. He knows how much damage it has to deal, and in case the archer dies, the arrow will still deal the damage. So I had to do some thinking over there. But what's most important is the fact that I had to kind of create this trajectory, right? Like, it's an arrow after all, it has to be like this. So I was like, how would I do this? So let me tell you a story. Well, to be fair, there were people who helped me live on stream, and that's great. I forgot who was it. Damn it, sorry. So I was like, at first I was thinking to actually use physics to create an arc, but then I still had to figure it out, the force and other shit like that. And then someone suggested, like, you just need a spline. And I was like, yeah, true. I mean, I could have a spline and then make that unit go on the spline, but what tools? And he suggested, like, do with the DoTwin Pro. And I actually have DoTwin Pro. I've been actually wanting to use it for some time. So I just installed it, and I'm using the DoTwin Pro. Let me see. There it is. So I've installed DoTwin Pro. I've been toying a little bit with the twinning process, but I didn't actually knew about the sphere, the path thing, right? I was like, okay, but how do I create the path? I can make an object move on a spline path. That's what the tutorial that I found from the developer showcased. He showcased the actual component that you add. I was like, okay, but what do I need? And the component actually has a way to add nodes, right? But the thing is that I need to add the nodes dynamically. I can't hard code the nodes because I don't know the current position. I don't know the actual target position, so I need to calculate them, right? And then I was thinking, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to know my current position, and I do. I need to know the target position, and I will know it. The moment I fire, I can get the position of the enemy, right? And then what I can do is I get the middle point between myself, the archer, and the enemy. I get the middle point, and then that middle point, I'm just putting it a little bit on the high ground to simulate some kind of arch. And as you can see, it's doing it. This is the middle point, and now the cat wants out. Who would have thought that the cat wants out? The other one at least is standing chill. So this is how it is, right? It's working. Look, it's actually every time a second, pew, pew, right? Pew. And have you noticed on how the speed was also pretty fast, but the arch wasn't so high up? So there was another thing that I had to calculate, and that also took some time. But before I go there, let me actually show you how this is done. So let me actually go to the archer. Archer, this is the shooting part. The archer is going to do arrow instantiate. So this got changed. This is because of the pool. I will show you this later. So I basically because of that it went a little bit. I've added the pool on top of that, and it got a little bit more messy. So there was a problem while I was doing research. So yesterday's stream was a little bit extreme because I had to see how I can do the arc. I wasn't sure if that was a good solution, and then I was like, okay, how do I use DoTwin? How do I look? Let's look at the manual. How do I make bolt interact with DoTwin? And there is no integration yet. It is in the it is in the roadmap. Roadmap. As you can see, this is it, but it's 1.4. We are not even at 1.3. So there is some time until there will be a proper integration. So probably, who knows, when you are going to see the video, there will be integration with it. But I couldn't find, like, I was looking to see how to do it. I was reading the manual of the DoTwin, right? And I was like, there are a lot of stuff that you can do actually, but what I needed was the do path. Let's actually search for it. Do path, right? So I was looking at this and I was reading it, and and I'm happy that I'm learning some more. Like I've read that and I was like, okay, I understand what it is. It's a vector tree, but it's an array of waypoints. So it's an array of type vector tree. The float is the duration. The path type equals linear. And then I've read some more over here. So linear, cut-to roll, path mode, full 3D resolution, gizmo, color, null. Okay, so I had to use some Google a little bit, and I was like, okay, I can't make like if I right click and I'm trying to do path, there is nothing. There is the DoTwin path, and I can see some stuff here, but there is no do path. And I was like, how? This was annoying, and I was like, screw this, I'm making a C# script. Bam, this is the C# script. This was more of the test that I made today, but this was the thing that took, I don't know, 1 hour and something to figure it out, because, you know, trying to make to see how to use C#, I was very rusty with the syntax and whatnot, and what is it required, how do I make it to show in Bolt. And the way you do it is you make a classic waypoints class, right? A script file. I've added the script file to the arrow, and then I'm using I'm using two parameters, right? The vector tree path and the float duration, which are actually fed in over here. So I'm doing transform.doPath, which is exactly the thing that you see here, right? I'm accepting a path, a duration. I set it up to be cut mule roll, so it's not linear, so it's like a curve, right? Path mode full 3D. But then I've learned that this code is not actually using the component. Like back then, I actually had a component on the arrow that was the actual with some settings. But then I was like, yeah, that's not really working, because I'm not getting the component and then manipulating the component. I'm actually creating a path through code, like at runtime, something like that, right? So then when I was, okay, but how do I set up the ease? So it's a little bit beautiful. How do I set up other stuff? And then I had to read some more. Then I found out that if I put dot set ease, I can do ease outside a scene. But then there was a problem that my arrow, since the arrow is a cylinder who's a vertical like this, the arrow was shooting like this. I was like, what the hell? Come on, come on. So I said it look at, and then it was still like this. And then I was like, okay, let's use transform up, and then it was like this, beautiful. It was so beautiful the moment I saw the arrow shoot like that with a bolt. But then I actually had another problem. You see how beautiful it is. Let me actually show it to you. You see how the bolt is smaller and the speed is kind of the same, pretty fast, right? And there was some, there is also a small bug. I'm not actually sure exactly why, but my are not grounded. They are at 0.08, and I'm not sure why. I'm really not sure why. Well, what's causing that? I think it's maybe from the nav mesh or something. so anyway, there was another thing that I had to do. So let's go back to the archer. The path is requiring a speed, right? A duration. So if my maximum range is 6, the duration will be, let's say, 0.8. And it was good. I tinker with the numbers, so hey, this is pretty good. But then if the enemy was pretty close, the distance is much shorter to the enemy, but it was still traveling for 0.8 seconds. It was, you could actually see go, and it was also going pretty up like this. This is not really realistic. So I need to wait to calculate it, and I've done this parabolic arc, and you see it's a super unit that's simple like this. I'm taking the archer range, which is 6 right now, the maximum range of the archer. I'm dividing, then I'm taking the archer position and the enemy position, and I'm using distance. This is how I'm getting a float with the distance between the enemy and the archer. And then I'm getting the distance, and I'm dividing it by max range, and then I'm multiplying by the maximum speed. Does it make sense? Let me actually calculate it for you for the fun of it. So let's say that the distance between it's at maximum, it's at 6. So 6 divided by 6, right? It's 1. And if I multiply it by 0.8, it's 0.8. It's the maximum speed that I want. Well, fair enough, right? But let's say that the distance is something like 3.6, so it's much closer, much almost half of that, right? And then I have to divide. Let me see if I'm, and that's the distance, right? And then I have to divide the distance by 0.8. And look, the number, I think I done multiply it. Wait, so it's 3.6 divided by 6, 0.6, and then I multiply this by 0.8. And look, you see there is a number that's also taking into consideration the distance and the division, and this is the maximum speed. So this is how I've done, and basically I'm applying the same logic to the speed and also to the arc, where the maximum arc for here is, you know, the bolt, it's 2. Let's put this at 5 for the fun of it. And you will see how, you see, at 5, but then the moment this goes much lower, and then it was around here, right? Come on. And now, no, this is the, come on, it's like a 2 seconds or 3 seconds delay. And now this is much shorter, as you can see. So it's kind of cool. I'm really happy that I've done it. I did receive some help by some people, of course. Normally it was at 1, so I'm going to set it at 1. So now the arrow is a little bit more realistic. It was kind of a nice experience. Now, this is the archer. Let's talk about the object pool. Now, the idea with the object pooling is like this, and I'm not using it, and you know, every time I'm spawning something, I'm instantiating it, and then when the unit dies or the arrow has to be destroyed, I'm actually destroying the game object, which is really not ideal because of performance reasons. This is why I was having the drops in the build last video. It's because every, let's say, 1 second, unit is doing garbage collection to free up the memory, so you had like a small spike. Now I started to do this. I had some good progress, but then I found some bug with a weird interaction, and then some frame rate drops that were weird, and I was like something like 2 hours wasted on figuring out that it's actually a bug and it's not actually a problem with the object pool that I created. So yeah, but then it was also my fault, and I have to do something different now. I was spawning the units summoned, but then I was disabling them, but this somehow was triggering the on exit state, but it was only a little bit, like really weird. And what wasn't working was the mouse over, like when the unit is summoned, you know, when it's changing the color red, this wasn't working with the summoned units. I was like, what the hell is going on, right? And then I was looking at the box collider, and this was disabled, even that in the freaking prefab was set up as enabled. I was like, who the hell is disabling? And I'm still not sure why, who was doing it. So somehow when this was instantiating before it was being disabled, somehow it triggered, but it was triggering only this. Only this is what's triggering. The fact that I'm taking the child and I'm disabling it. On this run or whatever, I'm also disabling the box collider, disabling the nerve mesh. These were fine. Only that was somehow triggering. I don't know what. Anyway, so I had to do this kind of thing, like I'm instantiating them disabled, and then I'm enabling them whenever I'm getting them from the pool. And this is how the pool works. I created an object pool, and this is kind of it. The idea with the pool is that you during the load time, let's say, you load something like 10 warriors, 10 fighters, 10 healers, 10 archers, 100 arrows, and whatever. And you have them like hidden somewhere else, disabled. And then when you need a warrior, you go to the object pool, and then you take one from there and you change its parent and you enable it. And then when you want to die it, you basically take it from there and you put it back to the pool and you disable it. That's the logic behind it. You just change the parents. The unit is already instantiated. It's into memory. So I've done that, and this is it. I'm also creating the dictionary because of reasons. Let me actually try to explain this because it might actually be useful. So the way it's going like this, I created this super unit called instantiate from prefab, where I'm inputting the prefab that I want, right? Then I'm inputting how many I want to spawn. I'm inputting the name, and I'm inputting if I should create a parent or not. And this is it. Like, look, I can input here. Like, let's say that I want a new unit to use the pool. I'm just duplicating this. I'm specifying a new prefab. I'm specifying the name. I'm specifying how many I want, and I'm checking on this create parent unit. And then I only have to go over here and add it to this list also. And I will tell you exactly what this is doing. So let me actually look at the instantiate from prefab. This is it. This is the whole instantiation part, as you can see over here. It's a little bit messy because I had to add this create parent thing. Otherwise, it was simply straightforward. And this is what I do. Whenever let me actually demo this better. Let's say that I'm going to instantiate 10 fighters, 10 healers, only 5 warriors, and then something like 100 arrows. And then when I click play, look here at the object pool. No children, right? No children. And now this is starting, and look, I have fighter, healer, warrior, archer, arrow, because it created a parent for them. And under that parent, look, 10 fighters, 10 healers, 5 warriors, 1 archer, and whew, look how many arrows. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's like so nice when I see this, right? And basically this is what it does in order to be more organized, and also to know exactly from where to take it from, because as you can see, it's hard to and this is how it was. On the game manager, whenever I want to summon a unit, I don't instantiate it anymore. I'm taking it from the pool. So I also created this unit, instantiate from pool. And this is the bug. I'm a child over here, right? And I can't select any unit. I can't select it. Look, it's deselecting it immediately. And I thought that this was caused by some performance or some, I don't know why it is. It's a bug. Anyway, I reported it. I'm also using the alpha version of Bolt, so one of the reasons why there might be bugs. So anyway, this is the instantiate from pool. Let's actually go in. Again, it seems a little bit messy, but this is what's happening. I need to know exactly where I'm taking and what I'm taking from, right? I know the name of the unit. When I'm going to summon a unit, I'm having the name of the unit: fighter, warrior, healer, archer, right? But the problem is that I don't know exactly from where to take it. And I could use game object find, which is really not ideal, because that would search your whole hierarchy, right, of objects just to find the name called warrior, fighter, let's say fighter, right? But then I noticed, I searched, Google and shit, and I noticed that you can do transform find, where you can actually specify the transform that you want, so it's going to be to find it. So I can actually specify this transform, and I can tell you, hey, get the game object, and in the game object find fighter. But then I wanted to do even better, because I was kind of thinking that maybe this is why I'm losing frames, because I'm using find, even that I was only using find at the beginning. Well, I was kind of using find whenever I was instantiating something, so it was like, wait, this is not a good idea, because I have to use find every time I want to summon something, right? Not good. So I'm doing a little bit different. On the scene variables, as you can see, I have this dictionary called pool objects. And if you look at the dictionary, what do I have here? Fighter, fighter, healer, healer, warrior, warrior, archer, archer, arrow, arrow. And if I select the fighter, look, it's a reference to actually what I wanted to find before. So I don't, and the dictionary is something like this. The key is the string and the value is the parent. So I do this. I get the variable of the dictionary, the pool objects, and then I get the item with the key from the string. So I'm getting let's say that the string is fighter, the name of the unit is fighter. I need to know the parent where they are stored, and here it is. I'm getting them from there. And now I'm doing a branch check, and I will tell you what this is doing immediately. And what I do is that I get the child at 0. I'm getting the first guy from the list. Simple as that. And I'm setting the parent to the parent that is being set in input from here, right? So as you notice, the instantiate from pool is actually inputting a parent, which is basically faction 1 units and faction 2 units, because I want them to become look, you see, it went immediately there. I want them to be organized like this in their own categories. So the warrior is going to be over here, as you see, right? But check this out. There is only one archer, right? And this is a problem. I'm summoning an archer. There are no more archers in the pool, as you can see. It was only one archer. So what happens if I want a new archer? What happens? Or let's say that I have 100 arrows, and somehow some dude is playing the game with only archers, and he currently has on his screen 100 arrows, and he needs to summon the 101 arrow. There are no children in the pool to take from, to move them, to instantiate them, kind of, right? What then? Simple. I'm doing a check here. This is the branch where I'm doing a check. I'm doing a child count of the category from the object pool, and if the count is 0, as you can see right now, the count is 10 over here. If the count is 0, I'm doing true. And what this is doing is sending a message to the object pool called I need more shit. So let's go to the object, and then it's just returning back. Then it's just returning back to the branch, where it's checking again to see if it has a child. And as you might have guessed it will have a child. So this will turn false, and it will just take it from the pool. So let's see exactly what I need more shit is doing. This is the I need more shit, and it's just a select on string. it's also receiving the name of the unit that it needs. I could have probably done this maybe more optimal, so I don't have to add stuff here. Well, it's not really a big deal because I will only have something like 6 units. Then maybe I will have a unit for the summoner, and then maybe some particles. Everything is going to be managed by me, and every time I need to make a new unit to use the object pooling, I just have to duplicate this, set up the settings here, add them over here, and then whenever I'm using it, for example, if this is a new unit, I go to the summoning unit and I also add them here. So it's not a big deal. And I know that there will probably be some magical way where you only add them in one place and they are going to be used all over the place. But then I said, like, screw it, I'm going to do it like this. So it's going, basically, it's going to receive the unit name that I want, but then I need to associate the unit name with the actual prefab. And I was thinking, I was running with the ideas on running over here. Then I was like, yeah, whatever, let's keep this clean, because I only want to spawn one more. And I only want to spawn one more because that's what I need, only one more. Right? This is the name. It's basically the exact same thing, only that I'm not inputting the healer like I'm doing it here. I'm taking it from the unit that was just received from the argument, right? And this was a problem. Like this, the first time I was doing the instantiate from prefab, I didn't have this branch. I was immediately creating the game object, the parent, the one from here. I was like, wait, if I'm going to use the same prefab, I don't want to create a new parent because I already have the parent. So this is what I've done. I'm just instantiating from the prefab, and I'm unchecking this, right? And this is it. It's going to be instantiated. It's going to be added over there, because if you are looking here, where it is a new instantiation. If this is false, like I don't have to create a new parent, I'm not going to go over here. I'm not going to add a dictionary to the item because, you know, one of those categories. I'm just going to go directly and instantiate the new unit, and I'm going to use the transform find, and that's how I'm finding the, well, actually I don't even have to use transform find. I think I can just get it from the pool. I can use the dictionary. Yeah, I can use the dictionary and I don't have to use find, because I already, right now I'm actually looking for a reference to where to spawn it to, but I can use the dictionary and just supply the freaking key, and that's how I will get the transform. So anyway, that's how I'm setting them over there to instantiate. So every time, if you don't have a unit to instantiate, I'm just going to instantiate a new one. You know, if you're not going to have a unit in the pool, I'm just going to instantiate one, and now I will have the pool just grew, basically. That's what I'm doing. So the problem right now is, this is working fine. The problem right now is with the destruction. And maybe if you guys can come with suggestions. Right now, I'm still destroying the units, right? Because the main idea, you don't want to destroy them. You want to take them from whatever they are whenever someone is being destroyed. So let's say that in the health system, in the dying state, this was the destruction, right over here. It was destroy game object, and then I'm using this super unit called refill pool, and I'm just specifying the unit. That's all that I'm doing, and it's just doing this. It's sending a message to the object pool with called refill pool, with one argument is the unit that has to be refilled, right? That's getting destroyed. So let's go to the object pool. This is the thing that's happening. I'm getting the key, the unit name, in order to get the parent, and I'm setting the parent, and then I'm deactivating this, and it's working. It's actually working. Yeah, when a unit dies, it gets back to the pool. Let me actually show you this. I only have one archer, if you remember correctly. Look, this is the archer. When I'm going to press the archer key, it's not there anymore. It's on the board. And now I'm going to kill this guy. And now the archer is back. But I will let you guys to guess what's the problem. Come on, guess. What's the problem? Why I take a sip of juice. Yes, you've guessed it. What I'm doing here is just moving the enemy back to the pool. But if I select it, the current health of the archer is -2. The current enemy of the archer is faction enemy. The current castle to attack is faction 1. It is injured, is set to true. Is it active, is set to true. This is not how my prefabs are originally being set. So I need to find a good way to reset this back to what it was without me doing extra work, and I'm not sure how to do it. Like in theory, I could, whenever you die, I could trigger a new state where I, for example, I set the current health back to the maximum health. I set the current enemy to null. I set the castle to attack to null. I set the injured to false. I set the unit is active to false, and then I kind of do like a hardcore reset. But then whenever I'm going to add new variables and new shit, I'm going to have to add them to that checklist. So this is why I kind of need to stop and rethink the AI and a little bit of the variables. Not only that, but there is a little bit of a problem. The console didn't generate anything, but there is a problem. And the problem is that I think right now I fixed that part a little bit, or I'm doing some things, but yeah, for example, this is one of the problems. The healer is not having the variable called current enemy. It has current heal ally. So I will need to kind of create this reset for each one of it, so I can't use the same, which in a way it makes sense, because when I'm adding the values, I kind of need to save the values for each one, so I know. But the problem was that the warrior, right now the current enemy is set back to null, but there was a problem. The current enemy wasn't setting back to null. It was still there. The archer still exists. So a lot of my logic was related to checking if the variable is null. So that was like, oh shit, and I'm using this in a lot of places. And I remember that I've done something, but I forgot exactly what and where. Like, I think I'm doing that. I really forgot exactly what, but I am doing something like, before I destroy it, I set this back to null, but I'm doing it myself, and I kind of having this feeling that I'm hardcoding stuff and I'm getting stuff being set up, and this is one of the reasons why it's a little bit of a mess, and I want to rethink. Like, everything else is fine for now. Nothing is perfectly fine, but it's actually kind of good overall, right? But I do want to rethink, since now that I've added this object pooling into the calculation, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing the object pooling now and not before, and not after I'm adding the rest of the units, the mage and the summoner and whatnot, right? So yeah, I don't know. I actually want to learn how to do this, to do a proper AI with behavior trees. So this is kind of like the next step. So probably and hopefully in the next episode, this is what you are going to see. Right now it's 23 December 2017, and it's 13:44. Let's do some research. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was useful to you. See you soon. Goodbye.